The last thing Claire Donovan packed was the blue mug she always stole from me. Not borrowed. Stole. She wrapped it in newspaper, tucked it into a cardboard box labeled kitchen, and looked at me like she was daring me to object. I leaned against the doorframe of our tiny Chicago apartment, arms crossed, pretending my chest didn't feel like someone had put it in a vice. That mug is a felony, I said. Claire smiled without looking up. Then arrest me, officer roommate. I'm a freelance video editor. My authority ends at changing Wi-Fi passwords. Exactly why I've never respected you. That was us. Jokes sharpened into shields. Banter covering everything neither of us had been brave enough to say. My name is Eli Mercer. I was 25, living above a laundromat that made the whole apartment smell like warm cotton and dryer sheets. And I had gotten very good at acting like people leaving was just part of the schedule. Clients left. Friends moved away. My parents had split when I was 12, and after that, my mother taught me how to pack without crying, and my father taught me how not to expect anyone to stay. Claire had moved in 10 months earlier after answering my roommate ad with one sentence. I can pay rent on time, I own a toolbox, and I don't do passive-aggressive sticky notes. I should have known right then she was trouble. She was 24, a junior architect with black-framed glasses, paint under her fingernails half the time, and a way of studying a room, like she could see what it wanted to become. She wore a cream sweater that morning, sleeves pushed to her elbows, hair twisted up with a pencil she'd been searching for all week. I found her beautiful in ordinary ways that were dangerous. The little frown she made when reading assembly instructions. The way she danced when she cooked, but only from the waist down, like she was trying not to admit it. The way she said my name when she needed me to stop joking. Eli, like that. I looked at her. She was holding the mug now, pressed to her chest. You're staring, she said softly. I'm supervising the theft. No, you're doing that thing where you look like you want to say something important and then decide to make it weird instead. That's my brand. It's a terrible brand. The movers had already carried out her mattress, dresser, and the little desk she refinished herself. The apartment looked wrong without her things. Too much wall, too much floor, too much silence waiting its turn. She was moving across town, not across the country. That's what I kept telling myself. 22 minutes away, according to the map. A new place near her firm. A bedroom with sunlight. No laundromat smell. No roommate who forgot to buy paper towels and remembered every detail of how she liked her coffee. It wasn't abandonment. It just felt exactly like it. Claire taped the box shut, then turned and caught me looking at the empty spot where her bookshelf had been. You'll be okay? She asked. Absolutely. I've already started interviewing replacements. Her eyebrows lifted. Oh, first candidate owns a drum kit and 3 snakes. Honestly, you deserve that. I thought so too. She laughed, but it broke halfway through. That small crack did more damage than any goodbye speech could have. We stood in the living room, surrounded by dust squares and cardboard scraps. The movers were downstairs. Her phone buzzed twice on the counter. Neither of us moved. Then Claire stepped closer and brushed a piece of packing tape off my sleeve. It was nothing. It was everything. Her fingers lingered for half a second too long, resting against my wrist. I looked down. She did too. When our eyes met again, the room changed. There are moments when two people know they've been pretending, and suddenly the pretending gets tired. Eli, she whispered. My throat went dry. Yeah? I'm really bad at goodbyes. I noticed. You labeled the bathroom box miscellaneous. That's emotionally concerning. She smiled, but her eyes shone. Don't make me laugh right now. Sorry. No, you're not. No, I admitted. I'm not. The buzzer rang downstairs. Claire flinched like the sound had pulled her back into the world. She grabbed her keys, her purse, and the last box. I reached for it automatically, and our hands collided around the cardboard handle. Neither of us let go. For one breath, we stood that way, holding the same box, close enough that I could smell her vanilla shampoo in the coffee she'd reheated 3 times but never finished. Let me carry it, I said. I can carry my own box. I know. Her expression softened. That was the thing about Claire. She never wanted to be rescued. She wanted to be seen standing on her own 2 feet. So I let go. She nodded once, like that mattered, then walked toward the door. At the threshold, she turned back. Well, she said, too brightly, don't kill my basil. It hates me already. It has taste. I smiled because she expected me to, because if I didn't, I might ask her not to go. And I had no right to do that. Claire went down the stairs. I followed with my hands in my pockets, each step louder than it should have been. The movers loaded her last box into the truck. She signed the clipboard. The driver climbed in. Then she looked at me. This was the moment where normal people hugged. Maybe promised dinner soon. Maybe lied and said nothing would change. I opened my mouth. Claire, She suddenly dropped her keys, turned, and ran back across the sidewalk. Before I could say goodbye, she grabbed the front of my shirt, rose onto her toes, and kissed me. Not a polite kiss. Not a mistake. A kiss like she'd been carrying it in her ribs for months and had finally run out of room. When she pulled back, her eyes were wide with fear and relief. I couldn't leave, she whispered, without knowing if that was only me. For one stupid second, I forgot every word I knew. Claire was still holding my shirt in both fists. Her lips were parted. Her face was flushed from running or kissing or panic, and the moving truck idled behind her like the world's least romantic orchestra. Only me. She'd asked if it was only her. I should have answered immediately. I should have said no, absolutely not. I have been in love with you since you fixed the leaky sink while wearing pajama shorts and threatening the wrench by name. Instead, I stared at her mouth. Claire's grip loosened. Oh, she said, misreading my silence in real time. Okay, wow, I'm going to go die in my new apartment now. She tried to step back. I caught her hand. Don't! She froze. My thumb landed against the inside of her wrist, right where her pulse was going wild. It wasn't only you, I said. Her eyes searched mine. You're not just saying that because I attacked you on a public sidewalk? You call that an attack? I panicked. Best panic I've ever experienced. A laugh escaped her, shaky and sweet. Eli. There it was again. My name, softer this time. I tugged her gently back toward me. Not all the way. Just enough that she had to choose the last step. She did. I wanted to kiss you last Christmas, I admitted. Her eyebrows shot up. When I had food poisoning? No, God, the other Christmas moment. We've only had one Christmas. When you fell asleep on the couch during that terrible baking show and drooled on my hoodie. She blinked. That was the moment. You looked peaceful. I looked like a poisoned Victorian child. You looked like home, I said, and regretted it instantly because it was too honest for a sidewalk beside a moving truck with a man named Gus leaning on the horn. Claire's face changed. All the teasing drained away, leaving something naked and bright. You can't say things like that after I've already packed the tissues, she whispered. I've got sleeves. That is both disgusting and very you. Gus honked again. Claire jumped, then twisted around. I know! I'm emotionally busy. From the cab, Gus gave a thumbs up like he respected the situation. I couldn't help laughing. Claire laughed too, and suddenly we were standing there grinning at each other like idiots, holding hands in front of a truck full of her life. Then reality edged in. You have to go, I said. I know. You have movers waiting. I know. And a lease. I know. And probably a very judgmental basil plant wondering why it's been abandoned. Her mouth curved, but her eyes stayed on mine. Ask me. My heartbeat stumbled. Ask you what? To see me tonight? A month ago I would have dodged, made some joke about roommate visitation policies, pretended casual, was safer than wanting. But she had run back. She had chosen the risk first, so I chose it too. Have dinner with me tonight, I said. Not as my roommate, not as the person who steals my mug, as the woman I've been trying very hard not to fall for. Her hand tightened around mine. And how's that been going? She asked. Terribly. Good? Good? I'd hate to be the only one with poor emotional discipline. I smiled. 7? 6:30. So eager. So hungry. Romantic. I'm a complex woman. Gus leaned out the window like, Lady, you coming or marrying him? Claire pointed at him without looking away from me. Do not tempt me, Gus. My entire chest went warm. She let go of my hand slowly, finger by finger, like she was memorizing the absence before it happened. Then she rose onto her toes again. This kiss was shorter than the first, but somehow more dangerous. The first had been a spark. This one was a promise. When she pulled back, she touched my cheek with the tips of her fingers. Don't disappear into your head before tonight, she said. I won't. You will. I might. Then text me something dumb in an hour so I know you're still real. What qualifies as dumb? You once sent me a photo of a potato that looked like Richard Nixon. That potato had presence. Start there. She walked backward toward the truck, smiling like she was trying not to smile too hard. I stood on the sidewalk and watched her climb into the cab. Just before the door closed, she held up my blue mug through the window. I pointed at it. Criminal. She blew me a kiss. Then the truck pulled away. The apartment upstairs was empty when I went back in. Painfully empty. Her room was bare, the living room echoing, the kitchen missing 3 pans and all its gravity. But the air had changed. She was gone. And somehow, for the first time since she'd started packing, it didn't feel like an ending. My phone buzzed 10 minutes later. Claire, if you are spiraling, stop. I smiled so hard it hurt. Me? Can't. Busy filing police report about stolen mug. Claire, I left you the ugly yellow one. Me. That was a test of your character. Claire, I failed romantically. Me. Dinner's still on. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Claire, good, because I'm terrified and happy and I don't want to be either alone. I stared at the message, feeling the sentence settle somewhere deep. Then I typed the truth. Me. Me too. Come be terrified and happy with me tonight. I changed shirts 4 times before 6, which was ridiculous because Claire had seen me with the flu, with editing deadline stubble, and once wearing a blanket like a cape because the heat went out. Still, standing in front of my closet, I became a man with no instincts. Black shirt, too serious. Blue shirt, too much like I was trying to match the stolen mug. White shirt, dangerous around pasta. I ended up in dark green because Claire had once said, offhandedly, that color makes your eyes look unfair. I had pretended not to hear her. I had heard her for 7 months. At 6:18, my phone buzzed. Claire, I'm downstairs. I came early because I have no chill. I looked at the empty apartment, then at myself in the hall mirror. Me. Stay there. I want to open the door like a person with manners. Claire, you once ate cereal from a saucepan. Me? Formal saucepan. I took the stairs too fast and nearly tripped on the last step. Claire stood outside under the awning, wearing a rust-colored dress beneath her denim jacket, hair down around her shoulders. She'd changed lipstick. Or maybe I'd just never let myself look closely enough before. She held up a small paper bag. Housewarming gift, she said. For me? You moved. Exactly. You looked abandoned earlier. I felt bad. Inside was the blue mug. I stared at it. You returned stolen property. Temporarily, I thought maybe we could share custody. The word custody should not have made my chest tighten. Alternating weekends? I asked. Depends how dinner goes. So, no pressure? Immense pressure. We walked to a little Italian place 3 blocks away, one we'd ordered from a dozen times but never eaten inside. That made it feel strange and new, like the restaurant had been waiting for us to arrive as different people. The hostess seated us by the window. Claire slid into the booth, then immediately looked around. What? I asked. Nothing. I'm just realizing this is our first official date. Technically, we've shared hundreds of meals. Those were roommate meals. This is date pasta. Date pasta sounds expensive. It is, emotionally. I laughed, and some of the nerves loosened, but not all of them. Because across from me, Claire wasn't my roommate anymore. She was the woman who had kissed me on the sidewalk and then looked at me like my answer mattered. The waitress took our order. Claire chose gnocchi and pointed at me when I hesitated. He'll get the spicy rigatoni and pretend it isn't too spicy. I lowered my menu. Excuse me? You do this every time. I enjoy spice. You enjoy being perceived as brave. The waitress smiled. Spicy rigatoni? I sighed. Yes, please. Claire looked triumphant. When we were alone again, she rested her chin on her hand. So, how long? How long what? How long have you wanted to kiss me? I reached for my water, buying time. She narrowed her eyes. Do not drink dramatically at me. I put the glass down. A while. That's not an answer. No, that's a survival strategy. Eli. There it was. No joke could survive that tone. I looked at her hands on the table. She had a faint smear of white paint near her thumb, probably from moving into the new place, already making it hers. Since the night of the thunderstorm, I said. Her expression softened. When the power went out? You lit all those candles because you said darkness made the apartment feel like it had given up. Then you sat on the kitchen floor with me and played 20 questions. You told me your biggest fear was geese. That was my second biggest fear. What was the first? I met her eyes, wanting someone who was already halfway out the door. Claire went still. The restaurant noise blurred around us, forks, laughter, music from hidden speakers. Her foot brushed mine beneath the table. Neither of us moved away. I wasn't halfway out, she said quietly. I was trying not to turn around. My throat tightened. Why didn't you say anything? Because living with you made it complicated. Because if you didn't feel the same, I'd still have to see you brushing your teeth like nothing had happened. That is a horrifyingly intimate example. It haunted me. I smiled, but she didn't. Not yet. I also didn't want to be a convenience, she admitted. The girl nearby. The one who knew your coffee order. The one already there. You were never convenient, I said. You were disruptive from day one. That got the smile. Rude. Accurate. You rearranged my spices alphabetically. They were suffering. You labeled cumin chaos powder. It was. Our food arrived, and for a while we ate like people discovering hunger after nerves. She stole one bite of my rigatoni, coughed immediately, and pointed her fork at me with watery eyes. You're insane. I'm brave. You're red. Heroically. She laughed so hard she had to cover her mouth with her napkin, and I thought, with a sudden frightening clarity, I want 1,000 dinners like this. Afterward, we walked back slowly, not quite touching, until Claire slipped her hand into mine at the crosswalk. Simple, public, deliberate. I looked down, she squeezed. Don't make it weird. I would never. You're making it weird in your mind. I'm composing a speech. Absolutely not. So I didn't speak. I just held her hand all the way to my building. At the door, she turned to face me. I should go to my new place. You should. I have boxes everywhere. Tragic. And no assembled bed. Even more tragic. Her mouth curved. Are you inviting me upstairs, Eli Mercer? I stepped closer, giving her room to say no. I'm inviting you to not end the night yet. Her eyes dropped to my mouth. Then she whispered, Good. This kiss was slower, no panic, no truck. Just her hands sliding up my chest and mine settling at her waist. Careful until she leaned into me and made careful impossible. When we finally broke apart, her forehead rested against mine. I'm still scared, she said. Me too. But I don't want to back away. I brushed my thumb over her cheek. Then we went upstairs. Not because we had a plan. Not because either of us said the thing the air between us was loudly suggesting. We went upstairs because Claire's hand was still in mine, and letting go felt foolish. The apartment greeted us with its echo. Claire stopped just inside the door, looking around at the blank space where her life had been that morning. Her smile faded. It's weird, she said. Yeah. I thought leaving would make it feel less like ours. The word ours landed quietly and stayed there. I set the blue mug on the kitchen counter. It still smells like your candle. The cedar one? The one you said smelled like a handsome forest ranger with emotional availability. That candle understood women. I laughed, then watched her walk to the living room window. The city lights painted her face in gold and blue. She looked beautiful and unsettled, like she'd kissed me into a future and only now realized we had to build it. I came up beside her, close but not crowding. "What are you thinking?" I asked. "That I don't want this to become something we ruin by wanting it too much." I swallowed. "That's cheerful." "I'm serious." "I know." She turned toward me. "You're easy to love when there's no risk." Everything in me went still. Claire's eyes widened. "I didn't mean—" "No, say it." She took a breath. "When we were roommates, I could love you in all these hidden ways. Buying the cereal you liked. Pretending not to notice when you edited until 3 in the morning and leaving food in the fridge. Sitting beside you when you were quiet." My chest ached. "But now," she said, "if I love you out loud, you can leave out loud." There it was. The fear beneath the kiss. I wanted to make a joke. I wanted to promise too much too fast. Instead, I reached for her hand and turned it over, tracing the paint near her thumb. "My dad left by degrees," I said. "First later dinners, then missed weekends, then birthdays with checks in the mail, so I learned not to ask people to stay." Claire's fingers curled around mine. "I almost didn't ask you to dinner," I admitted. "Even after you kissed me. Some part of me thought if I wanted less, it would hurt less." "Did it work?" "No," I looked at her. "It just made me almost miss you." Her face softened, but her voice stayed firm. "I need us not to do that. If we're scared, we say it. If we're unsure, we say it. No disappearing into jokes." I winced. "That is a direct attack on my legal counsel." "Your legal counsel is a coward in a novelty t-shirt." "Harsh?" "Accurate." I nodded slowly. "Okay, then here's me not disappearing." Her gaze held mine. "I don't want casual with you," I said. "I don't want to pretend this is just seeing what happens. I want dates, real ones. I want to know your new apartment and complain about your terrible parking. I want you here when you want to be here, not because your name's on the lease. I want to miss you and be allowed to say it." Claire's eyes shone. That was dangerously coherent. "I practiced on the stairs." "No, you didn't." "No, I panicked on the stairs." She laughed through a breath, then stepped into me and wrapped her arms around my waist. The hug undid me. Kisses were fire. This was shelter. I held her carefully at first, then tighter when she pressed her cheek to my chest. "I want that too," she whispered. "But I also want my own place." "I know. And I don't want you to think moving out was me choosing away from you." I lowered my face into her hair. "I know that now." She tipped her head back. "Now? I was dramatic earlier. You looked like a widower in a laundry commercial. That was my private grief. It was very public." I kissed her forehead because I could, because she smiled like she liked that I did. Then her phone buzzed. She pulled it out and groaned. My bed frame was delivered to the lobby in 6 boxes. 6? It's architectural. It's furniture. It has ambitions. I grabbed my keys from the counter. Come on. Her brows lifted. "Are you offering help or trying to extend the date?" "Yes." "That's not an answer." "It's the truest answer." At her new building, we carried boxes upstairs one by one, laughing too hard when boxé. 4 turned out to be only slats. Her apartment smelled like fresh paint and cardboard. Moonlight spilled across bare floors. At midnight, surrounded by screws and instructions written by someone with a grudge, we sat shoulder to shoulder against her wall, defeated. Claire rested her head on my shoulder. "My first night here and I don't even have a bed. You have 80% of a bed." "I have a wooden roomer." I turned my head, brushing my lips over her hair. "Stay at mine tonight." She went quiet. I added quickly, "No pressure, couch, bed, whatever you want. Or I'll stay here on the floor and fight the roomer." She lifted her head. "Ask me again without the escape routes." My pulse kicked. "Stay with me tonight," I said. "Because I don't want to say goodbye yet." Claire smiled, slow and certain. "Okay," she whispered. "But I'm taking the blue mug back in the morning." Claire did not take the blue mug back in the morning, mostly because she was asleep with one hand tucked under her cheek and the other curled in the sleeve of my t-shirt like she'd claimed me instead. I woke before her, sunlight spilling across the floor. The apartment still half empty, but somehow not hollow anymore. Her shoes were by the door, her jacket hung over a chair, her hair ties sat on the nightstand. Small things. Proof. I lay there watching her breathe, trying not to turn the moment into something too big, too fast. But then Claire opened one eye. "If you're staring again," she mumbled, "I'm charging rent. You don't live here anymore. Then visitor fees. You're very expensive. You knew that when you kissed me. You kissed me first." Both eyes opened then, bright and sleepy. "And you've been smug about it for 12 hours. I have been humble. You called yourself the chosen one while brushing your teeth. That was private. I was standing right there." She smiled, then reached for me. No hesitation. No fear hiding behind a joke. Just her palm against my jaw, pulling me down until our mouths met in a soft morning kiss that felt less like a beginning and more like an answer. We moved slowly after that. Coffee. Toast. Her sitting on the kitchen counter in one of my hoodies, drinking from the blue mug like a criminal queen. Me pretending not to love the sight so much it made my ribs ache. "So," she said, swinging one bare foot, "rules. For mug custody? For us." I set my coffee down. "Okay. 1, we don't use sarcasm to avoid every feeling." I grimaced. "Every feeling? Fine. 70%. Generous. 2, we date on purpose. No drifting. I like purpose. 3, I keep my apartment. I like your apartment." You called it a cardboard crime scene. Affectionately. "And 4, she looked down into the mug, suddenly shy. If one of us starts getting scared, we don't run." I stepped between her knees close enough that she had to lift her face. "We don't run," I said. Claire studied me. "Even if it gets real? Especially then." Her smile trembled, but it stayed. "Good," she whispered. 6 months later, the apartment above the laundromat still smelled like dryer sheets, but it no longer felt like a place waiting to be left. Claire's basil lived on my windowsill because, according to her, it needed a co-parent with better light. Her toothbrush appeared in my bathroom again, though she insisted it was not symbolic. I had a drawer at her place filled with socks, chargers, and one emergency shirt she claimed made my eyes look unfair. We learned the geography of loving each other without sharing a lease. Friday nights were usually hers or mine, depending on who had less laundry. Sunday mornings became sacred. Coffee, bad playlists, and a walk to the bakery where she always ordered one pastry and ate half of mine. We fought too. Once about my habit of saying I'm fine when I absolutely was not. Once about her taking on too much at work and pretending exhaustion was a personality trait. Once, memorably, about whether a bed frame needed all its screws. It did. We apologized better each time, and every goodbye got easier because it wasn't an ending anymore. It was just a pause. By the following spring, I helped her paint one wall of her apartment deep green. She said it was because the room needed warmth. I suspected it was because she remembered my shirt from our first date. When I asked, she dipped her brush in paint and said, "Don't flatter yourself." Then she kissed me with a green thumbprint on my cheek. That night, back at my place, we stood in the kitchen while rain tapped the windows. Claire reached into her bag and placed the blue mug on the counter between us. "I think," she said, "it should live here." I looked at her. "Full custody? Shared property? That sounds serious." "It is." My heart kicked hard. She took my hand and guided it around the mug with hers, our fingers overlapping against the warm ceramic. "I love you," she said. No sidewalk panic, no moving truck, no almost goodbye. Just Claire choosing me out loud. I pulled her close, laughing once because joy had nowhere else to go. "I love you too," I said. Her smile broke open, and I kissed her there in the kitchen, with the laundromat humming beneath us, rain on the glass, and the stolen blue mug held safely between our hands. What would you have done if your roommate packed her last box, walked away, then suddenly ran back and kissed you before you could say goodbye. Have you ever experienced something even close to that? An almost goodbye that turned into a beginning? Tell me your story in the comments. And for those who'd like to be a little closer to us, we've opened memberships where you'll get shorter exclusive stories every week with no ads. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.